Quite an exchange yesterday as part of that extraordinary meeting at the White House. Democratic Texas Congressman Henry Cuellar there speaking to the president during the bipartisan meeting, and the congressman joins us now from D.C. What did you take the president to mean by those comments? Not the joke at the end, but his initial comments to you there. What was your impression of what he meant?
I think the president wants to come to an agreement. He wants Congress to be engaged, and I think the fact that he got us all together, we're able to narrow it down to 4 issues: DACA, border security, chain migration, and diversity. The fact that we're able to narrow it down to those 4 issues and say that we're going to follow up, and I think tomorrow we should have a meeting, the group of 22 members that were there, the senators and the House members, these and ours. I think it would be a good start, and I think the White House is going to join us. Probably the Chief of Staff, John Kelly, will be there with us.
Okay, and now you're clear going into that those 4 issues is what you're talking about, that all of that has to be tackled at once versus a quote-unquote clean DACA bill that Senator Feinstein had brought up yesterday. That's not happening, right? That's clear?
Well, I think it's clear that, that we agreed on those, but, there are still some members in that room that still want to have a clean DACA bill. Again, with all due respect, in a real world, practical world, we're not going to do DACA without border security. Okay. Now, when we talk about border security, then we get into the definition of what do we mean by border security? A wall? I think there's other ways to secure the border.
Yes, but the president during the campaign had promised his supporters, and will probably politically, wouldn't you agree, have to go back to those supporters and be able to say, well, I delivered on that promise, a wall. So doesn't that have to be part of it? Even if it's not the whole thing, even if there are other measures, to your point, to address border security, doesn't part of it have to be allocated towards building a wall? Is that fair?
Well, I think it's fair to note also that the president said that Mexico was going to pay for this wall. So we'll support a wall if we can get Mexico to pay for this wall. A lot of things are said during the campaign. I think what we need to do is look at security. I live on the border. I don't just go in just for a few minutes or a few hours. I know what works. I mean, if you look at the Border Patrol chief right now and the ones we've had in the past, I've asked them this question. I want you to listen to this. I asked them, how much time does a wall buy you? They said, quote, a few minutes or a few seconds. If we're going to spend billions of dollars just to slow down somebody for a few minutes, I think we need to look at what the military does. They use sensors, they use cameras, they use aerostats. There's a lot of ways of securing the border. And I think that's, I want to secure the border. I live on the border. I don't want to see an open border, but we got to be smart on how we secure the border.
So the way the money is allocated, right, and the way that it's written into the legislation, whatever you guys come up with, do you need it to explicitly say this cannot be used to build a wall, or will there be a catch-all phrase like border security that's thrown out there that allows both sides to claim sort of a political victory? Is that how this all ends up?
Well, I sit on the appropriations, both on defense and homeland appropriations. The way we did this last appropriation bill, the one last year that we did in April, there was language there that X amount of dollars would be used to put some fences, repair fences in the San Diego area. There was specific language and amount of monies that would be used to put some gates in South Texas for some fences that didn't have any gates. So it would have to be specifically to say be used for this purpose or not be used for a particular purpose.
Okay, we'll see how that comes out. Now, timeline-wise, before I let you go, Congressman, we've learned at Fox that the Gang of Four is putting together an afternoon meeting, I believe, for 3 o'clock this afternoon in Congressman McCarthy's office, the House Majority Leader, where it'll be Steny Hoyer and John Cornyn, Dick Durbin on head. So that meeting is happening before the meeting you were talking about earlier. Is that how this all plays out, or is it all one? So you wouldn't be at that, right?
No, what we agreed on was that those 4 individuals will sit down and work out the time schedule and the parameters for the meetings. My understanding is that tomorrow the group of 22 will get together after the top 4 set that.
And you get a deal by the 19th, you think, on DACA?
If we narrow it down to 4 and both sides, and I emphasize both sides, Democrats and Republicans are willing to give in on things and compromise, I think we can. We can at least reach principles and then probably do a CR and push it on for a little further.
Congressman Cuellar, thanks for all the time today. We appreciate it.